Well, I think that he doesn't necessarily know this was the problem he was getting.
It will probably be how the next 4 years are defined, how well he does in terms of the economic crisis.
I think that's right. I think it has eclipsed all other challenges that he's facing. And who knows? I mean, new challenges may arise that eclipse this one too, but it feels that way. When he announced new financial regulations, that's something that I've been anticipating for a long time, really wondering how big a political deal it was going to be. It's not, turns out, going to be that big a political deal. It's going to be a big lobbying deal. There's going to be a lot of fight over it in Congress, and there's been a lot of negotiations with all the special interests already. But the opportunity to essentially create the first new big regulatory framework for our financial system since the Great Depression was probably also an opportunity for a big, meaningful speech to the American people on the role of government in our capitalist society and the proper role of government in our...
You think they know that yet?
Yeah. I think that they could I think they could do a bang-up Obama speech on that topic and sell what I think needs to be a pretty radical new approach to the financial system.
What would be suppose it would be a Rachel speech.
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you hope he would say? Which I assume are the same two things.
Well, I mean...
About what is the future of this economic system, this economic order that has been part of the American...
I mean, if I were going to argue it, I would argue it from analogy, and I would say, you know, there's a reason. Regulation isn't a dirty word, and government having a role in the clean functioning of markets is not something that should be resented, demonized, and minimized. If you go back
and might give markets a way to operate more efficiently.
Yeah, if you want to be on this, if you're hoping for an idyllic capitalist future, try to invest now when we need it most, at a political crisis at which we need it because of this financial crisis that we're in smart regulation that works, that allows the markets to function, that protects people from the inevitable incentives that have led us into what we're in. I would argue from analogy with the foundation of the Food and Drug Administration, and say, listen, you know, the same arguments against regulation were made by the sausage makers in the early part of the 20th century in terms of that, you know, it being impossible. The same arguments were frankly made in the automobile industry about seatbelts, that it would destroy the car industry if we ever had to have seatbelts and other forms of safety regulations. It's just not true, and there is a reasonable role to set rules by which everybody has to operate.
But has this president disappointed the left? And are you surprised the left is not more vocal?
In my head, the left is very vocal. I hear their voices right now.
And what are they saying?
Well,
those voices.
The president has disappointed the left. I think it could have and was anticipated that this president would be a disappointment.
On the war, or on economics, or on health care, on education, on budgetary priorities, on what?
I would say on the war, on health care, on economic issues.
All of the above.
Well, on civil liberties and on civil rights. On the war, I think that the decision to wind down in Iraq is close enough to what he promised that at least there's no surprise there, even if that war does seem like it may continue for quite some time. In Afghanistan, as I said, it looks like we're going to be continuing indefinitely on a very long horizon there that has never really been adequately debated in this country because we don't like talking about Afghanistan because we've been there for so long. On civil liberties, preventive detention, prolonged detention.
Why do you think he's different than your expectations?
He's not. I expected him to be sort of essential.
So you were not as...
I'm not surprised.
You were not misled at all.
No.
You thought going in he was a very practical politician whose essential instinct was central.
I thought that he was
of the center.
I thought that he was an anti-gay marriage, pro-death penalty, you know, mainstream but not extremely anti-war, democratic centrist, and I think that's what he is. I think he
In other
looks
words,
liberal.
you think he and
but, I mean, I think people expected him to be liberal because of all these things about him, but I don't ever think he ran as a liberal.
Because of the speech against the war in the beginning, and because of the
2002.
I know.
I mean, yeah.
But so he wasn't that much different than Senator Clinton in the end.
I don't know what Senator Clinton would be doing right now. I'm not so much a candidate person as I'm a policy person, and it may be that the Barack Obama of 2010 is my ideal candidate, and the Barack Obama of 2009 has been a disappointment. I think there are policy issues on which I'd love to see him change. But I don't know who embodies them. I don't really care about who embodies them. I just want politicians to do the right thing.
How about this? U.S. to extend its job benefits to gay partners. President Obama will sign a presidential memorandum on Wednesday to extend benefits to same-sex partners for federal employees, administration officials said Tuesday evening, which in fact he did today. What do you think of that?
Neat. He's been his actions and the distance between his actions and his statements on gay rights have been actually a little bit shocking. I would have thought that he would have been better on gay rights.
Again, why not? Just political reality?
Why has he not lived up to his own rhetoric?
Yeah. What I'm asking, what I'm interested in is whether he is as he was, or has he changed because of some experience in the office, or some recognition of political reality he didn't know, or some lack of courage, or whatever it might be.
My feeling is that on civil rights and civil liberties, he is less than he promised. On some of the other issues on which he has not satisfied the left, he is exactly what he promised.
Where is there most likely to be conflict that will get more heated?
Oh, I think that there's going to be sustained conflict with the left over the entire course of this term. I mean, prolonged detention, don't ask, don't tell. You know, not taking on the financial services industry in the way that he could, the wars. I mean, this is not that there will be flashpoints and then everybody will get along. He's going to face sustained opposition from the left for the entire time that he's in office, as it should be.
Let's talk about you.
Oh, great.
As if we haven't.
Yeah.
What do you like about your job?
I love my job.
I know.
I've had about 150 jobs in my life, and this is by far the best.
So what makes it so good?
I get to say what I want, and I work really, really hard, and I'm operating at the very far margin of what I am capable of doing, and that is really satisfying to me. There's no coasting whatsoever. Every day it is absolutely everything. It's like merging onto the freeway in the rain at night with only one windshield wiper and no headlights and a lot of traffic, and we're going 80.
Oh my God.
Yeah, every day. And it's exhausting, but I love it. I really love the challenge.
And how did you end up here? I mean, what was this somewhere in the back of your head when you were at Stanford, when you were at Oxford, when you decided you had to get a job? Was it, man, what I'd love to do is sit on television and engage interesting people about important subjects?
Never in a million years.
Really?
I had never...
You thought you were going to teach?
No.
What did you think you were going to do?
I thought I'd be an activist.
Really?
Yeah, and that's sort of what I had done. I was an old ACT UP kid from back in the day and had been an AIDS activist for a very long time. I was traveling around the country running campaigns to try to overturn some of the worst HIV discrimination policies in the country, and having a brilliant time, and thought it would be my life's work until there was a cure and all my friends came back. And I never really planned to do anything other than that, but I'm not much of a planner, it has to be said. I just thought I'd do that for a while.
So how did this happen?
In one of my periods of taking weird jobs, I randomly, on a dare, applied for a sidekick job on a local morning zoo radio show. I applied. It was an open audition on the air. I got hired on the spot. I started the next day. Yeah. And I sort of fell in love with radio. And that led to Air America, and that led to being guest appearances on other people's TV shows, and then
and it's been very successful. Why do you think it's been successful? What is it that has...
I'm assuming that this is my flash in the pan, and I'm really enjoying it.
This is your 15 seconds, and
yes.
Except 15 seconds, maybe 15 years. But there you go.
Yeah, I honestly, I have no idea.
You do have a certain philosophy about it, which is that you ought to give people a chance to speak. You ought to have that there is more to gain from civilized discourse than screaming and shouting and calling each other names.
You know something about that.
Yes, I do. Yes.
I mean, honestly, I mean, there is a continuum of different ways to talk about politics and current events in American politics, and this is one way to do it. I also believe that that these are public airwaves on which we broadcast, even if they are commercially exploited to a greater or lesser extent, and it is a great blessing to have this opportunity to literally be broadcast, to be sent all over the country so people can watch you. Millions of people could tune in if they wanted to. And to have that opportunity, I feel like to waste it bringing somebody onto the air with you who you don't think is worth listening to, or you think is only worth shouting down, is a little bit of an insult to the gift that we've been given, the chance to broadcast. And so I try to only host people who I really think it's worth listening to.